How are you guys doing? Today is Saturday, January 30th, 2021, out here in this quarantine. I'm James Sims, and for this episode of The Elite, I'm going to walk you through the elite performances and matchups from yesterday, Friday, January 29th, and of course, I'm going to preview everything that comes on today, as today looks to be a very impressive Saturday in terms of what's going on today in the world of sports. With NFL being on hold until the Super Bowl next week, I'm going to start with the NBA. Starting in D.C., the Washington Wizards hosted their division rivals, the Atlanta Hawks, and in this matchup, the Atlanta Hawks were able to beat the Wizards 116-100 after outscoring the Wizards by 9 in the first quarter and 7 in the third quarter. For the Washington Wizards in this particular matchup, their two elite guards would control how they play today. Their elite point guard, Russell Westbrook, would finish with 26 points, 6 rebounds, and 4 assists in 27 minutes, as he shot 8 for 18 from the field, 3 for 5 from 3, and 7 for 8 from the free throw line. As after getting his second technical, he would eventually get kicked from the game, but tied with Westbrook for the team high would be their elite shooting guard, Bradley Beal, who finished with 26 points, 2 rebounds, 3 assists, and a couple of steals in 32 minutes as he shot 10 for 26 from the field, 0 for 8 from 3, and 6 for 7 from the free throw line. For the Atlanta Hawks, their leading scorer was their elite starting point guard, Trae Young, who finished with 41 points, 3 rebounds, and 5 assists in 34 minutes, as he shot 10 for 18 from the field, 5 for 9 from 3, and 16 for 17 from the free throw line. With this win, the Atlanta Hawks are 10-9, which is the 6th best record in the East as it stands. And with this loss, the Washington Wizards are now 3-12, which is the worst record in the Eastern Conference. Jumping out to Charlotte, to their division rivals, the Charlotte Hornets hosted the Indiana Pacers and were able to beat them 108-105 after taking a 4-point lead in the first half and then kind of running with it for a bit. For the Indiana Pacers, their starting center, Miles Turner, would finish with 20 points and 8 rebounds, as well as a couple of blocks in 36 minutes, as he shot 9 for 14 from the field. Their starting point guard, Malcolm Brogdon, would finish with 21 points and 8 assists in 36 minutes, as he shot 8 for 20 from the field and 2 for 2 from the free throw line. And the Pacers' leading scorer would be their starting power forward, the reigning All-Star Domantas Sabonis, who finished with 22 points, 11 rebounds, and 6 assists in 38 minutes, as he shot 8 for 16 from the field and 6 for 9 from the free throw line. For the Charlotte Hornets, off the bench, their elite point guard, LaMelo Ball, would finish with 16 points, 6 rebounds, and 7 assists, as well as a couple of steals in 30 minutes, as he shot 7 for 13 from the field, 0 for 6 from 3, and 2 for 3 from the line, as he also finished with 5 turnovers on the night. The leading scorers for the Hornets would be P.J. Washington and Terry Rozier, as both players finished with 19 points. Additionally, Devontae Graham had 14 points and 10 assists for the club. With this win, the Charlotte Hornets are sitting at 8-11, which is the 9th best record in the East. And with this loss, the Indiana Pacers are 11-8, which is the 5th best record in the East. They are tied with the Celtics, 2.5 games behind the first place 76ers. Jumping to New York, the Knicks hosted the Cleveland Cavaliers and were able to get the 102-81 win after outscoring Cleveland by 12 in the second quarter. They outscored them in every quarter, but the second quarter was their biggest deficit. For the Cleveland Cavaliers, their leading scorer would be their starting point guard, Darius Garland, who finished with 24 points in 29 minutes, shooting 9 for 17 from the field, 4 for 6 from 3, and 2 for 2 from the line. For the New York Knicks, in this matchup off the bench, their leading scorer for the outing and for the whole day would be Emmanuel Quickley, their shooting guard out of Kentucky, who finished with 25 points and 5 rebounds in 25 minutes, shooting 9 for 17 from the field, 5 for 8 from 3, and 2 for 2 from the line. Out of their starters, their leading scorer was R.J. Barrett, who finished with 24 points in 40 minutes. Go Duke. He went on to shoot 8 for 19 from the field and 6 for 7 from the free throw line to help the Knicks get their 9th win of the season. With this win, they are 9-11, which is the 8th best record in the East, which if the playoffs started now, they'd be in the playoffs. And with this loss, the Cavaliers take the spot ahead of them. They are the number 7 seed in the East with a 9-10 record following their 21-point loss. Jumping to Tampa Bay, the Toronto Raptors hosted the Sacramento Kings, and the Kings were able to beat the Raptors 126-124. Despite the Raptors outscoring the Kings by 11 points in the fourth quarter, it just wouldn't be enough for them to come back and overturn what the Kings had done up until that point. For the Toronto Raptors, their starting shooting guard Fred VanVleet would finish with 26 points, 5 rebounds, 6 assists, and 4 steals in 36 minutes as he shot 7 for 16 from the field and 9 for 10 from the free throw line. Their elite point guard, Kyle Lowry, would finish with 17 points, 3 rebounds, and 6 assists in 37 minutes as Kyle Lowry shot 7 for 17 from the field, 2 for 8 from 3, and he made his only free throw attempt of the night. The Toronto Raptors' leading scorer would be their elite power forward, Pascal Siakam, who finished with 32 points, 4 rebounds and 2 assists in 38 minutes as he shot 11 for 20 from the field, 0 for 1 from 3, and 10 for 14 from the free throw line. For the Sacramento Kings, their starting shooting guard, Buddy Hield from Oklahoma, would finish with 22 points in 40 minutes, shooting 7 for 12 from the field, 5 for 8 from 3, and 3 for 3 from the free throw line. Their starting point guard, De'Aaron Fox, would finish with 24 points in 34 minutes, shooting 8 for 14 from the field, and 3 for 5 from 3. And the Sacramento Kings' leading scorer would be their starting small forward, Harrison Barnes, who finished with 26.7 rebounds and 5 assists in 37 minutes as he shot 8 for 13 from the field, 4 for 7 from 3, and a perfect 6 for 6 from the line. With this win, the Sacramento Kings are currently sitting at 8-10, which ties them with the Oklahoma City Thunder and the Dallas Mavericks for the second worst or the third worst record in the entire Western Conference. They're sitting half a game above the New Orleans Pelicans. And speaking of the Pelicans hosted the Milwaukee Bucks. They were the first game on ESPN, and in this matchup, they were able to beat the Bucks 131-126 after outscoring Milwaukee by 14 in the first quarter and 9 in the second, outscoring them by a combined 23 points, a lead from which the Milwaukee Bucks just wouldn't be able to come back even with their big second half. For the Milwaukee Bucks in this particular outing, their starting point guard, Jrue Holiday, would finish with 22 points, 9 rebounds, and 5 assists in 38 minutes as he shot 8 for 17 from the field and 3 for 4 from the line. The Milwaukee Bucks' leading scorer would be their elite power forward and reigning back-to-back MVP, Giannis Antetokounmpo, who finished with 38 points, 11 rebounds, 5 assists, 2 steals, and 2 blocks in 39 minutes as he shot 15 for 27 from the field, 2 for 7 from 3, and 6 for 7 from the free throw line. For the New Orleans Pelicans, they had 4 players that finished with 20 points on the day. First off, their starting shooting guard, Eric Bledsoe, had finished with 25 points in 34 minutes, shooting 9 for 21 from the field and 7 for 14 from the three-point line. Their starting point guard out of UCLA, Lonzo Ball, would finish with 27 points and 8 assists in 35 minutes, shooting 10 for 20 from the field and 7 for 13 from 3. Their elite starting power forward out of Duke, go Duke, Zion Williamson, would finish with 21 points, 9 rebounds, and 7 assists in 34 minutes as the 2019 number 1 overall pick finished with shooting 7 for 13 from the field and 7 for 10 from the free throw line. And the New Orleans Pelicans' leading scorer would be their elite small forward, Brandon Ingram out of Duke, go Duke. Ingram would finish with 28 points and 4 assists in 35 minutes, shooting 7 for 15 from the field, 3 for 8 from 3, and 11 for 13 from the free throw line. With this win, the New Orleans Pelicans are sitting at 7-10, which is the second worst record in the entire West to the Minnesota Timberwolves. And with this loss, the Milwaukee Bucks are 11-7, which is the third best record in the East. They are half a game behind the second place Brooklyn Nets as it stands. Jumping out to Orlando, the Orlando Magic hosted the Los Angeles Clippers, and in this one, the Clippers were able to beat the Magic 116-90, outscoring them by 26 for the entire game, especially with building up a 14-point deficit in the second quarter to go into the half. For the Orlando Magic, off the bench, their leading scorer for the entire night was their shooting guard, Terrence Ross, who finished with 24 points in 23 minutes, shooting 8 for 12 from the field and a perfect 7 for 7 from the free throw line. For the Los Angeles Clippers, their elite starting shooting guard, Paul George, would lead the team in scoring. He would lead the entire game in scoring as he finished with 26 points, 9 rebounds, 5 assists, and 2 steals in 28 minutes as he shot 10 for 19 from the field, 3 for 9 from 3, and 3 for 3 from the free throw line. And then their goated small forward, Kawhi Leonard, would finish with 24 points, 4 rebounds, and 3 assists in 29 minutes as he shot 8 for 15 from the field, 2 for 6 from 3, and a perfect 6 for 6 from the line. With this win, the Los Angeles Clippers are 15-5, which is the second best record in the West. They are sitting right on par with the Utah Jazz, or I guess following this, they're sitting, with half a game. They're sitting half a game below the Utah Jazz, and they're sitting with the second best record in the West, as they're 1 game over the Los Angeles Lakers as it stands. Jumping out to Minnesota, the Minnesota Timberwolves hosted the Philadelphia 76ers, and in this matchup, the Sixers would beat the Minnesota Timberwolves 118-94, especially after outscoring the Timberwolves by 19 in the second half to help build the lead to what it was at the end of the game. For the Minnesota Timberwolves, their leading scorer was their starting shooting guard Malik Beasley, who finished with 22 points and 5 rebounds in 30 minutes, shooting 9 for 19 from the field and making his only free throw attempt of the night. Additionally, their elite shooting guard D'Angelo Russell out of Ohio State would finish with 14 points and 4 assists in 25 minutes as he shot 3 for 11 from the field, 1 for 7 from 3, and 7 for 7 from the free throw line. For the Philadelphia 76ers, their elite starting point guard Ben Simmons would finish with 11 points, 4 rebounds, and 7 assists in 26 minutes as he shot 4 for 10 from the field and 3 for 4 from the line. And the Philadelphia 76ers leading scorer would be their elite starting center Joel Embiid, who finished with 37 points, 11 rebounds, and 3 assists in 27 minutes as he shot 10 for 19 from the field, 1 for 2 from 3, and 16 for 18 from the free throw line. With this win, the Philadelphia 76ers are sitting at 14-6, which is the best record in the Eastern Conference, by a game and a half over the Brooklyn Nets. And with this loss, the Minnesota Timberwolves are 4-14 with the worst record in the West by 3.5 games. Jumping to Oklahoma City, the Oklahoma City Thunder hosted the Brooklyn Nets as KD faced off against the Oklahoma City Thunder for the first time as a member of the Nets. The Nets would win this game 147-125 after outscoring OKC by 9 in the first quarter and 8 in the second half, or 8 in the second, to outscore by a combined 17 points in the first half before busting it wide open. For the Oklahoma City Thunder, their starting point guard Theo Maledon would tie with Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, as both led the team with 24 points each. Maledon had 24 points in 33 minutes, shooting 8 for 9 from the field, 6 for 6 from 3, and 2 for 2 from the line. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander would finish with 24 points and 5 assists in 31 minutes, shooting 7 for 10 from the field and 10 for 3 from the free throw line. For the Brooklyn Nets in this matchup, their starting small forward Joe Harris would finish with 20 points in 33 minutes, shooting 7 for 13 from the field, 5 for 9 from 3, and making his only free throw of the night. Their elite starting point guard Kyrie Irving would finish with the team high as he finished with 25 points, 5 rebounds, and 7 assists in 34 minutes as he shot 10 for 16 from the field, 1 for 3 from 3, and 4 for 4 from the free throw line. And tied with Kyrie Irving for the team high in points would be their elite shooting guard James Harden, who finished with 25 points, 10 rebounds, and 11 assists in 32 minutes as he shot 9 for 14 from the field, 3 for 6 from 3, and 4 for 4 from the free throw line. With this win, the Brooklyn Nets are 13-8, which is the second best record in the Eastern Conference by a game and a half. They're a game and a half below the Philadelphia 76ers right now. And with this loss, the Oklahoma City Thunder are currently 8-10, which is tied for the third worst record in the Western Conference, with the Dallas Mavericks and of course the Sacramento Kings following their win against the Toronto Raptors. Continuing on, jumping to San Antonio, the Spurs hosted the Nuggets, and in this one, the Spurs were able to beat the Denver Nuggets 119-109 after outscoring Denver by 7 in the first half and 7 in the first quarter, and then 9 in the fourth, just jumping out to bigger quarters, and the Nuggets were able to. For the Nuggets in this particular matchup, their elite starting point guard Jamal Murray would finish with 20 points, 6 rebounds, and 7 assists, as well as a couple of steals in 35 minutes, as he shot 9 for 14 from the field and 2 for 4 from 3. The Nuggets' leading scorer would be their elite center Nikola Jokic, who finished with 35 points, 10 rebounds, and 5 assists in 39 minutes, as he shot 14 for 24 from the field, 5 for 11 from 3, and 2 for 4 from the free throw line. For the San Antonio Spurs, their starting point guard DeJounte Murray would finish with 26 points and 7 rebounds in 32 minutes as he shot 10 for 19 from the field and 5 for 7 from the free throw line. The San Antonio Spurs leading scorer would be their starting small forward DeMar DeRozan, who finished with 30 points and 10 assists in 36 minutes, shooting 11 for 14 from the field, 1 for 2 from 3, and 7 for 7 from the free throw line. With this win, the San Antonio Spurs are sitting at 11-8, tied with the Denver Nuggets, as both sit with the fourth best record in the West. Since the Spurs have the head-to-head win. The Spurs currently control the 4th seed, as the Nuggets are sitting with the 5th spot in the West currently as everything stands. Jumping to the last game of the night, the Utah Jazz hosted the Dallas Mavericks and were able to beat the Mavericks 120-101 after outscoring Dallas by 25 points in the first quarter and then 10 in the third to get their 15th win of the season, which is good enough to have them sitting at the very top of the Western Conference. For the Dallas Mavericks in this matchup, their leading scorer would be their elite point guard, Luka Doncic, who finished with 25 points, 6 rebounds, and 7 assists in 32 minutes as he shot 8 for 17 from the field, 2 for 6 from 3, and 7 for 10 from the free throw line. For the Utah Jazz, their starting point guard, Mike Conley, would finish with 22 points and 9 assists, as well as 3 steals in 33 minutes. He shot 7 for 17 from the field and 4 for 4 from the line. Their elite center, Rudy Gobert, would finish with 17 points and 12 rebounds in 25 minutes as he shot 5 for 7 from the field and 7 for 8 from the free throw line. And the Utah Jazz leading scorer would be their starting small forward, Bojan Bogdanovic, who finished with 32 points in 32 minutes, shooting 10 for 16 from the field, 7 for 11 from 3, and a perfect 5 for 5 from the line. With this win, the Utah Jazz are 15-4, which is the best record in the West by half a game over the Los Angeles Clippers. And with this loss, the Dallas Mavericks are currently sitting at 8-11, which is the third worst record in the Western Conference as it currently stands. But of course, they can really kind of go up from here. That's what the NBA is looking like as of today, or following yesterday's performances. Looking forward to today because it is Saturday. Looking towards the mainstream matchups at 8:30. The Boston Celtics are going to host the Los Angeles Lakers. One of the few this is the first time they're going to match up with both teams having the same amount of NBA championships since the 50s or the 60s before the Celtics started winning. And that's going to be the only game that's on TV. That'll be on at 8:30 on ABC. At 8 o'clock, the Bulls are going to host the Trailblazers as Zach LaVine hosts Damian Lillard. Both those players are averaging at least 27 points a game, so that game looks to be good. The Charlotte Hornets are going to host the Milwaukee Bucks as LaMelo Ball takes on Giannis Antetokounmpo. At 8 o'clock, the Pelicans are going to host the Rockets as B.I. and as Duke in the NBA looks to take on a newly revamped Houston Rockets side. The Miami Heat are going to host the Sacramento Kings at 8 o'clock as the reigning Eastern Conference champs look to get a couple wins to see if they can improve their standings in the East. At 8:30, the 11-8 San Antonio Spurs are going to host the Grizzlies as the Grizzlies look to come back from their quarantine. At 9 o'clock, the Dallas Mavericks are going to host the Phoenix Suns to finish their back-to-back night after their loss to the Jazz. And then at 10 o'clock, the Warriors are going to host the Pistons as Steph Curry looks to take on Blake Griffin. So those are going to be those are the big headlines for tonight. Jumping to college basketball to last night's games. 19th ranked Illinois was able to beat 7th ranked Iowa 80-75 as they were able to outscore Iowa in both halves behind Ayo Dosunmu's 25 points. With this win, Illinois is 11-5. They are 7-3 in the Big Ten. With this loss, 7th ranked Iowa is 12-4 as they drop to 6-3 in the Big Ten. And with the St. Louis and Richmond game being postponed, we look forward to today's matchups because today is Saturday. There's a lot going on. At 12 o'clock, 24th ranked Oklahoma is going to host a 9th ranked Alabama on ESPN. You'd expect that matchup. You'd expect that ranked matchup to be in college football, not in college basketball. So this looks to be very interesting. At 2 o'clock, unranked LSU is going to host 10th ranked Texas Tech on ESPN2. At 2 o'clock as well, 11th ranked West Virginia is going to host unranked Florida on ESPN. At 2 o'clock, 12th ranked Mizzou is going to host unranked TCU on ESPNU. At 3 o'clock, unranked Penn State is going to host 14th ranked Wisconsin. At 3:30, unranked Seton Hall is going to host 3rd ranked Villanova on Fox. At 4 o'clock, 2nd ranked Baylor is going to host unranked Auburn on ESPN. At 4 o'clock, unranked Georgia Tech is going to host 16th ranked Florida State on ACC Network. At 6 o'clock, 20th ranked Virginia Tech is going to host their in-state rival UVA on ACC Network at 6 o'clock. Also at 6, 18th ranked Tennessee is going to host 15th ranked Kansas on ESPN. At 7 o'clock, 23rd ranked UCLA is going to host unranked Oregon State on Pac-12 Network. On 7:30, unranked Purdue is going to host 21st ranked Minnesota on Big Ten Network. At 8 o'clock, unranked Pepperdine is going to host 1st ranked Gonzaga on ESPN. At 8 o'clock, unranked DePaul is going to host 17th ranked Creighton on CBS Sports Network. And then with other games being postponed, those look to be the only big matchup. Those look to be the big matchups today when it comes to college basketball. And of course, a lot more games being played on a Saturday. Jumping really quickly into what's going on with hockey, because the hockey season is progressing. Only one game was played last night as the Columbus Blue Jackets were able to beat the Chicago Blackhawks 2-1, scoring both their goals in the first two periods. The Blue Jackets goalie Korpisalo would be the biggest star of the night, as he had 31 saves, only allowing one, as the Blue Jackets record improves to 4-2-3. Looking forward to today's matchups, only looking towards the mainstream ones. It looks as though the only games that are going to be shown are going to be on ESPN Plus, as the Bruins take on the Capitals at 7 and the Islanders take on the Flyers also at 7 o'clock on ESPN Plus. And then last but not least, taking you through what's going on with soccer, especially right now. Looking through the league, starting with yesterday, because there weren't any crazy big performances from yesterday, but Lyonnais was able to beat Bordeaux, putting pressure on PSG in the French league. Looking at the Premier League action, Manchester City at 10 o'clock is going to host Sheffield United, the same team that ended up beating Man United. Manchester City is sitting at the top of the table by 1 point with one less game played than second place Manchester United. A win here could see them move ahead by 4 points in the table. Speaking of second place Manchester United, they're going to go to London to face off against Arsenal. Arsenal currently sits ninth in the table, so a win a win here could possibly see them move past Chelsea into the top 7, possible top 6 in the Premier League. And with a win here, Man United could see themselves possibly move past Man City, but I doubt Man City is going to lose to Sheffield United. But Manchester United fans were saying the same thing last week. Looking out into the German Bundesliga, the reigning German champs Bayern Munich are going to face off against Hoffenheim as they look to increase their Bundesliga lead. They currently sit at the top by 7 points. And Hoffenheim is sitting 11th in the table, so it looks as though this one might be a pretty easy one for Bayern. And also at 9:30, Borussia Dortmund is going to host FC Augsburg. Borussia Dortmund is sitting 7th in the table as they are 13 points out of first place. And they are 1 point out of Europa League competition, so a win here could be incredibly big for them as well. Looking out into Serie A, AC Milan's going to go to Bologna as they are currently sitting at the top of the table by 2 points. A win here could see them give themselves a little bit more cushion. And they are sitting right above Inter Milan, and Inter Milan's going to host Benevento at 2:45 Inter Milan sits 2 points behind. Looking at the team that the AC Milan is playing, Bologna is currently sitting 13th in the table, while Inter Milan is gonna play against Benevento, which is the 11th best team in Serie A, and then Juventus, who is currently the 4th best team in Serie A. They are 7 points behind first place with one less game played. And this week today they're going to play against Sampdoria. Sampdoria is currently the 10th best team in the league. With a win today, Juventus can move past AS Roma into the 3rd spot into Serie A to move themselves into a better position to take on in order to take on AC Milan and Inter. They're a little bit ways back, but they're most definitely not out of this race. In La Liga, Real Madrid are going to host Levante as we look into La Liga. Real Madrid is currently sitting second as they are 7 points behind Atletico Madrid with one game more played. But a win here could possibly see them move closer to the very top. And that's what soccer is looking like today. And that's what sports are looking like on Saturday, January 30th, 2021. I hope all is well, and I will come back tomorrow once all these individual exhibitions have been played. Thanks once again for listening to my piece. I take pleasure in just going through this world of sports one day at a time. And I hope all is well, and I will catch you guys tomorrow with my newest installment following all this. Thanks once again for listening to all 25 minutes of my piece. I'll catch you tomorrow. Peace out.